We're talking about your first investment property. You might want to buy one that's tired and needs refurbishing because you've got those skills. Or conversely, you might want to buy one where you don't do anything. Talk to a financial advisor, talk to a mortgage broker to determine, well, what's my budget? If you fail to issue a copy of that EPC to your incoming tenant, the tenancy is invalid. Hello there, and welcome to this week's edition of Money Matters, because as you know, I deeply believe that money matters. So what are we talking about this week? We're talking about your first investment property. And I want to very briefly just go over some old ground, if you've heard me before, how I got started in property investment. It was actually 40 years ago, 1982. My first property was 269A Roman Road, East Ham. It was a one-bedroom flat. What did I do and why was it my first investment property? Well, it was my first investment property because with my dad and my granddad, I'd been flipping properties for years. Finally, I was 18 years old, I wanted to do it for myself, so I got the deposit together, got the cash together. I bought it for £9,000 and a couple of years later, having done it up nicely, I sold it for £33,000, boom, off you go. And you're probably thinking, oh, well, yeah, but surely, Paul, you can't do that now. That's all gone. Those days have passed. No, again, all documented on this channel if you want to learn all about it. This property here is number 14 Beckett Road, and it actually wasn't me that did this one. So I've done a couple of videos with the investor that did it. The investor that did it was actually my youngest son, Jude, using none of my money. What he did with this one is he bought it for 50, spent another £42,000 on it, got it revalued at 125, put a £93,000 mortgage on it. If you're not following me, don't worry, just go and watch the video. If you're thinking, oh, well, that was all very well 40 years ago, this was not 40 years ago. He did it when he was 12, he's now 14. So I'm here to tell you that you can do this too. And I want to give you your 6-step investment guide, what you need to do first. And if it's the first time you've seen me on the channel, welcome to Money Matters. My apologies in advance, this is a little bit more basic, but so often I'm asked, how do you do that? How do you get going in the world of property? So almost everybody that I speak to in the UK says, I want to get started. But very many people, although they know they want to be a property investor, don't know what to do first. So I've broken it down to 6 really simple steps. Here we go with step number 1. You are going to need, first up, most obviously, a deposit. Now, a deposit, for anyone that doesn't know, really basic stuff, this is the amount of money that you put down, cash. And when I say cash, it doesn't have to be cash in your bank at this point. It could be equity in your house. You might remortgage your house, release some money, and then use that money as your deposit. It could be inheritance. It could be redundancy from work. It could be almost anything. The first and most obvious question, if you're going to invest in an investment property or a buy-to-let, is how much do I need? Go on to the internet, good old Google, and just search best buy-to-let mortgage, something like that. And what's going to come up is a table. So perhaps it will be Money Supermarket or Money Facts or Money Saving Expert or something like that. Almost always, you're going to get access to the best deals if you've got £25% as a deposit. So, if you want a £200,000 house, you're probably going to need £50,000. You can get mortgages up to 80 and sometimes even higher, but let's keep it really simple for this. Job number 1 for you is somehow cobble together, or maybe you've already got it, or maybe just release it from your home equity, a 20 minimum or 25% deposit, preferably for the kind of budget that you're thinking about. Step number 2 is you need to assess your affordability. Now, buy-to-let mortgages, investment property mortgages, they're not the same as residential domestic mortgages in terms of affordability. And very often with a residential mortgage, it's some sort of multiple of your income or perhaps your combined income with your partner. Buy-to-let mortgages, I'm not saying it's not important, but it's far less important. And you're going to get access to the vast majority of buy-to-let deals if you've got an income of at least £25,000. Job number 2 is make sure you're earning £25,000 a year or more. If you're not, don't give up. Step number 2 is talk to a financial advisor, talk to a mortgage broker to determine, well, what's my budget? Because if you know what kind of deposit you've got, if you know what your income is, and that financial advisor gives you access to, these are the sorts of deals you can think about, fixed, variable, don't get sucked into the detail. Just at the very top level, job number 2, what kind of budget have I got? Which is a combination of how much deposit have I got and how much mortgage can I get? Okay, so job number 3, you now need to go and find a property. What kind of property do you want? And there is no right answer on this. I would suggest to you that you don't want to be great to start, but you need to start to be great. And because I get asked this question so much, what I've done is I've written this book, which is all about, I guess, my journey and the different property strategies, and it's called Wealth Through Property. And to get you started on your property investment journey, what I'd like you to do is click the link in the description below, and I want to get it to you straight away. So rather than wait for a hard copy, I'm going to give it to you completely free as a gift from me to you for simply watching this video. Just click the link below and we'll send you an e-version, an ebook, so you can have a read straight away. So you need to make sure that you're comfortable. Now, I always say, unless there's a really good reason why not, then you need to invest where you live, because you'll know it. So that's number 3 in terms of, the right sort of property in the right sort of area. Number 4 and 5 are actually closely related, because you're now going to need to find a property that represents a good deal. Now, a good deal for you is going to depend on how much money you've got, how much time you've got, are you a builder, all of that sort of stuff. So you might want to buy one that's tired and needs refurbishing because you've got those skills or you've got the budget to achieve that. Or conversely, you might want to buy one where you don't do anything, a new build or an off plan, because you don't have those skills or you don't have the time. Those things will all determine the right kind of property for you. How do you find these properties? Well, you can find them obviously on Rightmove. You can talk to estate agents. That's what 99.9% of the population do. Alternatively, you can go on places like Gumtree or Facebook Marketplace. So all of these things combined, the right property in the right place at the right price point, that's your next step. Number 5, you need to have a budget for what the American cousins would call closing costs. So what does that mean? Well, it means stamp duty, it means legal fees, it means maybe surveys, mortgage application fees. So you need a budget for that sort of thing. And it's going to be wildly different if you're buying a house for 100k versus £1 million. So you need to be responsible for working that out. And then the final stage, and in a way the most important stage, is making sure you monetize it. So making sure that you get it let well, professionally. And I was having this conversation with a young man that talks to me about such things. How old is he? He's 28. He's just in the process of buying his first investment property. And he said he was going to save some money because it's actually a tenanted property, which is no problem. It's got a tenant in it already. He said he was going to save 10% because that's what the rental agent, and he perceives that as a waste. I said, okay. I said, so what do you know about properties? Well, not a lot of people, because I've never done it before. I talk to you, I've read your books, that sort of stuff. I said, well, that's great. But specifically, when a tenant moves in, what sorts of things do they need to have? He said, well, a contract. I said, well, what kind of contract? And he didn't really know. What else do they have to have? And he said, well, that's it, isn't it really? Just bank details and they give me money. Okay, how about gas safety? How about electrical safety? How about EPC? Because I don't know, but if you know this, then fantastic, I'm teaching you to suck eggs. If you don't, be careful. If you don't issue a copy, you might have an EPC, but if you fail to issue a copy of that EPC to your incoming tenant, tenancy is invalid. I do not consider professional letting agencies to be a waste. But the combination of how do you cash flow it, how do you manage it? The rent might be, I don't know, £700 a month, but it's been £700 a month for the last 6 years. And actually the current market rent is £1,050, but you think you're saving some money because you're going to save 10% of the 700, whereas what you should actually be doing is going to 3 different letting agents and saying, how do I know what the market rent is? If I gave it to you to manage, then what rent would you recommend? So be very careful about saving money. Be far more focused on having a very professional letting agency. That is my top 6 tips to very, very brief intro on how I got started, how you can still do it, and what are the 6 things that you need to do in order to get that first investment property. Now, love to hear from you, all the questions below, but I just want to remind you one final time before I let you go today, I would like to make available to you a copy of my book. So I'm Paul Smith, again, Touchstone Education, been doing this for 40 years now. Wealth Through Property. Click the link below, and I'd absolutely love to hear from your questions in the comments section below on this YouTube video. And I'd love to be hearing from you about what do you want me to talk more about. I've been doing this for so long now that very often things seem second nature to me, and very often I get surprised that people don't know things. I'm like, oh, really? You want to know that? Because I'm always trying to add value. And sometimes the way that I add value is, let's put it mildly, complex if you're a beginner. But what I want to make sure is that if you want to start, I'm doing whatever I can to help. As always, if you're new to me and you're new to this, it's not about the money. It's about the choices that money gives you. You, each and every one of you, are wonderful. I've been Paul. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.